Ukrainian forces repel over 85 Russian attacks on March 25. Russian troops are reportedly concentrating their efforts on conducting offensives toward Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Mariinka, and Shakhtarsk in Donetsk Oblast. Ukrainian forces repelled more than 85 Russian attacks in those directions on March 25, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces said in its morning update. Over the past 24 hours, Russia launched 4 missiles, 34 airstrikes, and more than 70 MLRS attacks targeting civilian infrastructure. Dnipropetrovsk Oblast Governor Serhiy Lysak reported earlier on Telegram that Russian troops targeted 2 of the region's communities with artillery and drones. The Ukrainian Air Force conducted 11 strikes against Russian temporary bases on March 25, while Ukraine's rocket and artillery forces targeted 3 control points and 5 bases for Russian troops and equipment. The Ukrainian troops also downed Orlan-10 drone as well as Supercam, a multi-rotor unmanned aerial vehicle designed for industrial inspection of hazardous areas and sites inaccessible to other drone types. The General Staff warned that the threat of Russia's air and missile strikes remains high throughout Ukraine. A large fire broke out late on March 25 in a plastics warehouse in the Russian city of Omsk in western Siberia, according to the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations. The fire was localized in an area of 3,500 square meters. At least 65 firefighters and 16 pieces of equipment were involved in putting out the fire, the ministry said. No casualties were reported. The ministry did not specify the cause of the accident. Meanwhile, the Computer Emergency Response Team of Ukraine, a body of the State Special Communications Services, registered more than 300 cyber attacks in the first 2 months of 2023. This is almost half of the number registered in the same period last year, when Russia was preparing for a full-scale invasion and hacker activity was abnormally high, reads the statement. Since the beginning of this year, CERT-UA has recorded an increase in the number of attacks aimed at data espionage, with a focus on maintaining permanent access to CERT-UA data. The organization indicated that the malware used by Russian hackers mainly includes programs for data collection and remote access to users' devices. This may be one of the signs that Russia is preparing for a protracted war, according to the experts. Russian President Vladimir Putin most likely made the decision to deploy Russian nuclear weapons to Belarus before the February 2022 invasion of Ukraine and probably chose this moment to serve his current messaging strategy against Ukraine's Western allies, the Institute for the Study of War said in its latest update. Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko offered to host Russia's nuclear weapons on Belarusian territory on November 30, 2021, and Belarus removed the constitutional clause enshrining Belarus' neutral status in a referendum in February 2022. ISW forecasted in January and February 2022 that Putin could seek to deploy tactical or strategic nuclear weapons to Belarus as part of a broader effort to deepen Russian control over the nation. He may have refrained from deploying the weapons to Belarus at the start of the 2022 invasion to preserve the option to deploy them as part of a future Russian information operation to manipulate the West. Putin likely chose to push these narratives, now hoping to diminish Ukrainian morale and Western aid to diminish the effectiveness of a rumored pending Ukrainian counteroffensive, the ISW said. Besides, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on March 25 that his country planned to modernize 1,600 tanks available in its stock over the next 3 years, as well as ramp up tank production, Russian state media reported. Putin's March 25 claim during an interview with a Kremlin-controlled TV channel appears to be a threat against Ukraine and Western nations, which the Russian leader claims plan to send 420 to 440 tanks to Kyiv. Neither the West nor Ukraine revealed the exact number of advanced tanks Kyiv is set to receive in the nearest months. Russia has long threatened Western nations against providing Ukraine with tanks, claiming they would regret making such a decision. Putin did not mention where the finance of his country's ambitious plan to modernize over 1,600 tanks would come from. According to the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces, Russia has lost 5,483 tanks and fuel vehicles since the beginning of its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022.